Let's look at life science, grade 9, and we're going to start with the vocabulary that goes with a cell. So, here I've got a picture of an animal cell. So the difference between an animal cell and a plant cell is basically got to do with, does it have a cell wall, like fixed shape with a wall around it, and can it photosynthesize? So does it have chloroplasts? There are a couple of other things as well, but those are the two big main differences. So let's start here in the middle. So in the middle of the cell, it doesn't physically have to be in the center, but it usually is. We've got the nucleus. This is the nucleus. And then, so in the nucleus, there's a smaller body called the nucleolus. So nucleus, big, nucleolus, the smaller one inside. And then everything that's got to do with the nucleus has got nuclear in its name. So it's got a membrane around it, so it's a nuclear membrane. We also inside, it's not here on this drawing, the specific diagram, but inside the nucleus we also get the chromatin network, which is basically the DNA. Then let's go to the surrounding. What surrounds the cell is the cell membrane. So the cell membrane, it's a double membrane like this, and it goes around the entire cell, and it selects what comes into the cell and not. And then we've got, so let's go to the fluid next, here at the bottom, cytoplasm. So the cytoplasm is basically the liquid that fills everything. The word plasm is basically like water, liquid. Technically it's not a liquid, it's more like a jellyish, sort of in between liquid and jellyish, is a plasm or plasma. Plasma, same thing. So in the cyto has got to do with a cell. So cytoplasm, a liquid inside the cell. And inside the nucleus, we also have plasma, so it's the nuclear plasm. Let's go here from the top. So the centrosome is right by the nucleus, and it plays an important part in cell division. Then we've got endoplasmic reticulum, which is basically weird, flat, pockety kind of things. And here we've got this blue one here is smooth, and then here around the nucleus we've got these ones that's purple here, which is the rough endoplasmic reticulum. So the reason why we say it's rough is because there's little ribosomes that's sitting around it out on the outside. So then ribosomes, basically what they do is they help with protein synthesis. So basically they help the cell to make more protein. And then the second one here from the top, mitochondria. Mitochondria is the plural, mitochondrion is the singular, and that is in control of cellular respiration. So basically making energy for the cell. We've got many of them throughout the cell. All of these things is all over the place. And then we've got a vacuole, so these green ones here. So basically what a vacuole does is it stores stuff. There's lots of stuff inside cells, materials, and lots like there's waste, we've got starch, proteins, all kinds of things in the cell, and it gets stored in the vacuoles. And then right underneath that here we've got the Golgi apparatus. So I'll go into that now. The Golgi apparatus, and then right here on the other side we've got lysosome, So the lysosome, the Golgi apparatus, and the vacuole kind of go together. I'll explain that now. Right, so that's basically what that looks like. Here we've got exactly the same things in the animal cell. The big difference is this thick green thing on the outside is the cell wall, and that we didn't have with the animal cell. The animal cell had the cell membrane. So the plant cell also has a cell membrane, but around it is the cell wall. And right here in the middle, you can see that the vacuole of the plant cell is huge, and it's right in the middle. Whereas with animal cells, it's smaller ones that's all over the place. And then the other thing that plants need is to photosynthesize. So these ones here, there's another one, there's another one. These ones are chloroplasts. Okay, so the chloroplasts are for photosynthesis. Now let's have a look at all the terminology. Okay, so we start here with organelles. So you know the word organ. A body has an organ. So like your liver or your kidney or whatnot. But a cell doesn't have an organ, it has organelles. So it's sort of like the tiny little organ in the tiny little cell, rather than the big organ in the big human. So I said it's basically like the organs of the cell. In a more biological way, we can say that it is the functional units in the cell. So each one has its own function, and together they all work together in order to make the cell work. Okay, so now let's look at all these organelles. So the nucleus. So the nucleus is usually towards the center of the cell. In animal cells, in plant cells, the vacuole's in the center, and the nucleus is a bit to the side. So it has a membrane around it called the nuclear membrane. So its function, and then we've got this tiny, like here on the sketch, it's the blue one, is the nucleolus. The nucleolus's job is to make ribosomes. The nucleoplasm is the liquid inside it, and then the chromatin network, so chromatin network. So that carries the chromosomes, which is DNA. So the chromatin network is like a whole bunch of DNA lying there. All right. The reason why we've got the nucleus more or less in the middle is because what the nucleus does is it basically controls most of the functions in the cell. But very importantly, it contains the DNA. And the DNA is like the code of how to make more of you. How to make more of the cell. So the cell has the code to make itself over and over again. And in order to do that, it needs to make protein. So the nucleolus makes ribosomes, and then if you look here at the next one, ribosomes makes protein. So that is protein synthesis. So synthesis is just a fancy word for make. So protein synthesis happens with the ribosomes, and that's why this nucleus makes ribosomes and has the DNA, which is the code for the proteins. And then you remember we said that the endoplasmic reticulum also has ribosomes on top of it. So if you are looking at which one of all these things in the cell, which one is the endoplasmic reticulum? The endoplasmic reticulum is the flat things right by the nucleus. So it's right by the nucleus because it has ribosomes on it. And we want ribosomes close to where they're being made and close to the DNA. So we get smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Those are the ones without the ribosomes. So they're usually a bit further from the cell. And we've got rough endoplasmic reticulum, which is right next to the nucleus. For endoplasmic reticulum, so endo, inside, plastic, or plasmic, so it's like inside the plasma, so inside the cytoplasm, inside the plasma of the cell. Reticulum, to be honest, I can't remember what it means right now, but it's basically, it's like a flat, like if you think about little bags, it's like flat little bags, but they're all connected to each other. You can see here where my mouse is there, it's like there's like bridges between them all, they're all connected. Okay, then the cytoplasm, we said, is the liquid in the cell, and then we have the cell membrane. So the cell membrane is the layer on the outside of the cell. It is selectively permeable. So permeable means things can go through it. So like a tea bag is permeable because water can move through it. Selectively permeable, so select means like pick, choose. So selectively permeable means that it can choose the things that it does let through. So here's just a bigger picture of the cell membrane. So you can see it's like a double, it's double like that. And then these things that's lying in here, it's like protein molecules that lies like this, like columns inside the cell membrane. And that basically makes channels. So it opens a channel and then stuff can go through and then it closes again. And then what is next? The mitochondria. So the mitochondria, I know this is a tricky word to remember, mitochondria. So the mitochondria is where respiration happens. So respiration is making energy from starch. And it is the opposite of photosynthesis. So photosynthesis was basically, happens in plants. Photo is light, synthesis is make. So it uses light to make starch. So respiration is the opposite. We eat the food that the plants make to get the energy, and then in respiration we take the molecules and we break them up into pieces so that we can get the energy, so that we can move around and use it. All right, that is the mitochondria. The important thing, like, because often they ask you to like label the diagram. So if you see the diagram, you're like, ugh, which one's the mitochondria? Then the mitochondria is the one that has, it's just a round, like an oval type thing, and then it's got these points going towards the inside. Then you know that is a mitochondria. Okay, the next one, we've got the Golgi apparatus. So Golgi apparatus, so what that does is it makes vesicles. It also stores protein. So you can pretty much see this as a packaging factory. So it's the factory where things go, thanks, here's some protein, ugh, what do I need to do with this? You go there, oh, please take this to that place. So it like sorts it out and basically packages it so that it can be transported to other places. So the vesicles, vesicle is like tiny little parts, like let's say this is the Golgi apparatus. Then it basically goes like this with its cell membrane, the membrane that is around it basically goes like this, and then it goes like this, and then there we've got a vesicle. And the vesicle takes that protein and takes it away somewhere else. So this Golgi apparatus also makes, so it makes vesicles and vacuoles and lysosomes. So all of these ones is basically very, very similar. It's a membrane making a closed ball. That's basically what it is. The Golgi apparatus is a membrane making a flat thing. But with the ER, the endoplasmic reticulum, we said that the ER is also like flat little bags, but it's connected to each other. The Golgi apparatus is not connected. It's just a piece of, like a bag, freezer baggie. And the things in this freezer baggie needs to be transported somewhere else. So then it goes, whoops, there's a vesicle, and the vesicle takes it somewhere else. Or it goes, whoops, there's a lysosome, and the lysosome goes somewhere else. This is exciting my dog a lot. She's just wants to jump on me. Then we've got, or it goes, whoops, now it's a vacuole, and there goes the vacuole, and it transports things around. And then it can come back, and it can go, cool, now I'm part of the Golgi apparatus again. So that's Golgi apparatus. Now, vesicles. So vesicles transports useful material. So useful material, stuff that you need, is transported by vesicles. This word secrete, so secrete means that material goes out of the cell. And it also just happens like this. Like, let's say this is the cell membrane, and then the vesicle comes here. I've got some enzymes here that needs to go somewhere else, or I've got some hormones here that needs to go somewhere else. Then it goes like this, and it links there to that pieces, and it goes, whoops, now I'm part of the cell membrane. And then whatever was inside it went out of the cell, and the vesicle became part of the cell membrane. And that is how vesicles work. Secrete, moving things out of the cell. Then lysosomes, very similar. This word lyse, L-Y-S, lyse, basically means to destroy or burst or something like that. So a lysosome destroys stuff. So it's exactly the same as a vesicle. It works exactly the same. But inside this lysosome, there are enzymes that destroys dangerous things. So if there's bacteria, then the lysosome goes like Pac-Man, eats the bacteria, and then the enzymes destroys the dangerous material. And then it goes, ugh, now I've got some waste in here. And then it goes, this is a cell wall, and then it goes like this. It goes out of the cell. Then it's out of the cell, and now the lysosome is part of the cell membrane again. So it basically takes things that your body doesn't want. The cell is, this is dangerous. It's a germ or a virus or a bacteria or just waste products that we don't need anymore. It needs to be destroyed and taken outside. So that is what the lysosome do. So lysosome, it destroys things. And then a vacuole, I said, is these ones are all together because they all do pretty much similar things. A vacuole stores things. Especially, that's why the plant cell has this massive one in the middle. Because the plant cell makes lots of starch. And the starch has to go somewhere to be stored. So it gets stored inside the vacuole. So it's inside the vacuole where it dissolves in the liquid that's inside, or in the water basically, that's in the vacuole. And we basically call that the plant sap. And that's where that gets stored. So in animals, it's exactly the same thing, but it stores smaller bundles of different stuff. So it's smaller ones that's all over the place, and they move around to go pick something up here and store it, and pick something up there and store it. All right, so that is storage. Okay, so these ones all go together. Golgi apparatus sorts everything out to go where should it go. Vesicles transports useful material. Lysosome destroys and then takes out, transports dangerous things. And the vacuoles store things. So the Golgi apparatus basically decides, what is this? Does it need to be stored? Does it need, then it goes to the vacuole. Does it need to be destroyed? Then it becomes a lysosome. Does it need to be transported somewhere else? Then it becomes a vesicle. So all of these ones basically look the same if you look at your cell. The vesicles are usually smaller and the vacuoles are usually bigger, and the lysosomes, you'll usually also find them round, more or less close to the Golgi apparatus. Okay. Then, in the plant cell, I said we also have a cell wall. So it's the outer layer. So here you can see this very thick, like a village with a wall built around it. And it's got open spaces in between the wall, like a gate in the wall, so that things can come in and out. So the wall, anything can come in and out, but the membrane is selectively permeable. So the membrane decides what comes through it and what not. So the outside layer of the plant, and what does it do? It supports it. So it basically gives it a structure and keeps the shape. But then obviously, why did I not say this? It protects the cell so that it can't squish. Okay, so it keeps the shape and supports, and then protection, just like a wall does. All right. Then the last one here is a chloroplast. So plast is, just kind of like a body. Chloroplasts has chlorophyll. So the plast is the body, the chlorophyll is the thing that makes the cell green. That is, what's the word? A pigment. Chlorophyll has chlorophyll for photosynthesis. It is the pigment that makes cells, or let's say plants, green. So it's literally green in color. Okay. So let's go like this. Chlorophyll, photosynthesis, pigment. Okay, so pigment is basically something that gives color. So photosynthesis, I said earlier, it is making starch out of sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide. So how to recognize the chloroplasts in the cell? So, because the chloroplasts and the mitochondria people often get confused about, because they look very similar, but the chloroplast has long, flat stuff on the inside, and the mitochondria has points going like that on the inside, so it's points. So that's the easy way that you can remember it. Okay, then let's look at different types of cells. So different cells are built differently for specializing in a specific for a specific function. So the first one that I've got here is epithelial cells. Epithelial cells is always the cover of anything. It's always the outside surface that protects stuff, outside or inside, but basically the surface. And it's always there for protection. So because epithelial cells is like the layer on the outside, it's usually flat. We also do get long ones that we call columnar epithelials, but I think you only learned that in grade 10. That's basically long, that looks like columns instead of like boxes. And then muscle cells. So muscle cells is, you know, obviously for movement, for making muscle. So their shape looks like that. So it's flat on the sides and then bulging in the middle. Okay, so that, like, think about if you make a muscle, then it's big, bulging in the middle and flatter on the sides. So it's a muscle cell. Obviously your arm muscle is not just one cell, but that is what they each look like individually. And then probably the strangest looking cells in the body is the nerve cells. So they're thin and they're very long. So they can stretch from your brain to your toes. Very long. And then it's sort of like, looks like a tree almost, but lying on its side. With like a little roots. I don't know if you see that too. A tree on its side. And they basically, the nerve cells carry all the messages throughout the body. So the brain says, muscle, please move. And then the nerve cell goes, muscle, please move. And then the muscle moves. And then the other ones we've got here on this diagram is the red blood cells. So most of the other things in the blood is just round. It doesn't look like a specific thing. But the red blood cells is basically, instead of being round, it's like that, where it's flat in the middle and bulging out on the sides. We call that biconcave. Bi meaning two, and concave meaning that it caves in the middle. So it's basically a cave in the middle, and bi because it's on both sides. It's caving in on both sides, the top and the bottom. And they carry oxygen in the blood. And the part that carries the oxygen is called hemoglobin. But I think that's in the next video as well, when we're talking about the respiration system of the body. Okay, so that was the cells. The important thing is you must be able to name and recognize them. So it's name, recognize, and function. Those are your important things. So if you're struggling with the words, I know life science is a lot of new difficult words. It all comes from Latin, you see. So you're pretty much learning a little bit of Latin now. So, and the spelling of Latin is even worse than English. So now find yourself a way to go remember it. Like, for example, here with mitochondria, I just always remembered because it's the weirdest word. So I spent way too much, a lot of time just memorizing it. But like here with the Golgi apparatus, we said it like stores stuff so that it can be moved. And I've got a golf. So I go golf apparatus, Golgi apparatus, the one that sounds like golf, because it's the car that drives things around. Whether that helps you or not, that's just my silliness in my head, but find yourself little interesting ways of remembering what it is that fits with either what it looks like, or the function, or with both. Or like you can think like vacuole, like a vacuum cleaner that sucks things up and then it lies there in the vacuum bag. So it stores it there in the bag. You can think of ways that you can associate the functions or the shapes with the names to make all of this vocabulary easier to remember. All right, good luck with that. I'll see you again later.